Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of Gateway Cinema. Um, Ben fumbled the bag and didn't watch the film and didn't do his homework, and now he can't make it to the recording. So we wanted to get something done just to put out on Friday, as we promised a new episode every Friday. So welcome. Me and Haroon are just going to be having a little catch up. We've done 6 episodes now. We've got 8 more to do from this first season, so it's sort of a middle season catch up. We're going to air out our frustrations with not being able to get through to Ben about what makes a good movie. And
I don't think we're going to do that.
what do you mean?
Or maybe we will. I guess we kind of
I don't
have
know.
to.
I think we should. I think we should talk about it because it is very funny.
It is Ben's fault that he's not here, and it would be funny to bitch about him.
I don't
But
think we're
then
not going to be
it's
horrible,
not
but I
behind his
just
back in the slightest. It's on his
yeah, he can watch
podcast.
it. We're not going to be horrible. I just want to talk to you about what he's liked so far and what he's disliked, and if we can find any sort of logic in that. And yeah,
Cruel.
this next coming up episode is going to be Tenet and Primer, and me and Haroon have both watched them, and I want to have a little argument with Haroon about Tenet before we get into the full episode with Ben. So that's what's on the roster for today. So hope you enjoy. So let me go through in my head the list of movies that Ben has watched, and we can see which ones he's enjoyed. So he hated Paprika. He hated Come and See. He hated Taxi Driver, and he thought First Reformed was mid, and that's the one he liked the most. He hated F for Fake. He loved Eyes Wide Shut, which is a bit of a curveball.
No, I'm not surprised he
And
loved it. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm
I
surprised
am.
he loved it. I'm surprised he loved it.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised
exactly.
that it was not like similar to a 3 out of 10 unwatchable movie like Taxi Driver.
3 out of 10 is so crazy.
Yeah, 3 out
Um,
of 10 is a Transformers movie, is one of the bad Transformers movies.
oh, he just said something.
I think we started now. That's it.
No, I know, but let me see what he said. He said he just said, because I said we're gonna slag him off. He said, when I give these ratings out of 10, I'm not commenting on their aesthetic quality, but my experience of
Oh
watching
my
the film.
God, we were
So
literally just talking about his ratings out of 10.
so
That is funny.
just so you guys all know, it's just how shit he thinks they are. No, it's not how shit he
No,
thinks they are. It's
so
how
I,
much
I
pleasure.
think, to be honest, I can understand it to an extent. I know where he's coming from, but unfortunately, once you give it a fair bit of thought, um, logic doesn't really hold. It's sort of like if you're looking at a beautiful painting and technically a lot of things have gotten into it, but it's just not your thing. Art can be
Mhm.
subjective in that way. So that's
Well, but
probably what he means.
he's just now said giving a high rating doesn't necessarily mean I enjoy them, but it needs to stir me emotionally in some way. But that's not what he's been doing. That's the opposite of
It's
what he's been doing.
I don't know how I rank movies, to be honest. It's weird giving them a ranking, and we sort of went through it in the
Definitely,
David Batty
definitely.
episode. Um,
It's wrong
but
morally to rate movies on a number.
yeah,
But we
yeah,
do it anyway because it's fun.
it is funny, to be fair. Um, right, so Taxi Driver is an interesting three. Come and See. I think a pretty good short came out of that one, whereby he was like, the most disturbing thing I've ever seen on film is in Game of
Game of
Thrones when
Thrones.
Theon Greyjoy has his dick chopped off screen. Um, and I'm like in that same short. Well, I watched a movie called Come and See today, so
Yeah, that might be the
that's
most
a good
harrowing
short.
thing I've ever seen. Um, yeah, I don't. It's very frustrating. Me and Haroon have talked about this in our private time. Just how
That sounds
incomprehensible Ben.
so weird. On private
When me
time,
and Haroon have a moment together alone, when all the doors are locked and no one else is listening in,
we have
we
our
like
private
to
time. We talk about Ben.
exclusively. Um, But yeah, I would say we're failing on our mission currently of converting a
Yes,
Nolan fanboy. Um,
wholeheartedly, mission failed thus far, and will
so
probably
far.
be a complete atrocity by the end. So I
He
think
also didn't like
maybe
Halloween, and he didn't
he
like
didn't
Bram
like. He's
Stoker's
not liked a
Dracula.
single movie. He's not
Well,
liked a single
he
movie
liked
shown
Rob Zombie's
except
Halloween. He didn't like.
I didn't even watch that one.
Yeah, you fucked that so bad. I rewatched the episode today, and the moment where you realise that you watched the wrong films is
Mm.
really funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
Mission failed at converting a Nolan fanboy, but when behind the scenes, when we were setting up the podcast,
Well,
Ben
well,
kept
well,
saying,
well, 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 well. It's not mission failed. Sorry to interrupt you.
"So far,
Because, no, because anybody that's listening that was a Nolan fanboy and listened to words we said, maybe maybe those
that's
listeners
true.
out there,
Maybe
maybe
it's a
you're the
net
Nolan
positive."
fanboy. You listening
Mm,
now, maybe it's you. Who knows? But also, like, even if you weren't really a Nolan fanboy, it's like we're not. The effort from us, I suppose, fundamentally is to try and get him to see the world outside Christopher Nolan,
for
for
sure.
sure.
And in that degree, we are succeeding, I guess, because I'm sure we have showed him
Mm.
4 films that he hasn't seen before, and uh, maybe we'll get something out of that in the long run. I mean, at least he's watching something that isn't a Hollywood blockbuster.
Mm. But yeah, so shall we talk about Tenet then? Or sorry,
Well,
I
so
interrupted
I
you
had a good segue.
aggressively. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine. This will lead well because I was going to say when we were setting up the podcast, Ben kept saying, uh, "Actually, I think I'm going to be converting you to being a Nolan fanboy," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." However,
Oops.
with every week that goes by, with every Nolan movie I watch, I like the guy even more.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I would say I obviously did like him initially. I hope I explained it well enough that like, yeah, I like the guy and I think he's good for cinema. I think he has these flaws, and I don't think he could be the number one goat like Ben suggests. But
No,
I am getting
he's definitely not. He is definitely not the number one goat, and he's probably not top 10, right? But there is definitely a place for
well,
him, and they are. It's just he's never. What in all of movies? This just can't be true. It just can't be
well,
true.
I'm getting such a stronger appreciation for him, and
Yeah,
it's
appreciation.
challenging. It's challenging my preconceived notion before we started this podcast of like the flaws I had with him because I was like, oh, he doesn't do anything thematically and he doesn't do anything character wise, and some of those have held up
Yeah.
well enough.
So
But
for me, yeah. Sorry, go on.
well, this will lead on to Tenet. So if you got something to say about that, then I
Yeah,
can
I have
push
something to
that
say
back a
about
sec.
that. What I have to say about that is that after having watched Tenet, I've actually got a different sort of idea of what movies can be because it can actually be a plotless, themeless, soulless movie, and I can still enjoy it.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to argue with you about. So
This will be good.
uh, you said to me that this movie is a puzzle box. It's a pure puzzle box movie, I think you said, and you said thematically there's nothing.
There's
Um,
nothing in there.
well,
Oh, there's
there is
probably a little
loads.
something.
There's
Yeah, there's
so
probably a
that's
little
all I got out
something.
of it. And I said
Really?
I was going to go. Yeah. We'll get into it. I got some notes. I won't do it all.
What
But yeah,
the
you
wife's like all about freedom and she just wants to be set free, but those aren't really those are
not
just
even that,
like
bro.
those are just like vehicles for him.
But wait, okay. So can you explain to me your puzzle box thing? Because when I watched it, I was like, this is not a puzzle box. Definitely not in
It's a
the
puzzle. It's
J.J.
a
Abrams
hundred
sense.
percent. Okay, so do you understand that? So in Tenet, basically, do we need to explain anything to listeners, or is it even
Have you
not
guys
even
seen
worth
Tenet?
that?
If not, you're going to be lost if you're even watching.
I have
And
some nice notes. You know what? Let's talk about Tenet. I got some good notes here. Let's get into this. Let's
yeah,
get into
tell
it.
me about your puzzle box theory, and then I'll tell you about all of the themes that made me very happy
Okay.
and changed my perception of Nolan completely as a filmmaker.
So, the movie Tenet basically revolves around. It's sort of a heist movie. All his movies end up being heist movies, to be honest, don't they? But basically, the reason it's a puzzle box movie is because it's like about the pincer movement, right? So there's one scene in a car chase where there's a pincer movement, and it's outlined exactly how this takes place. So two teams, one goes forward in time, um, and just observes, and then the other team goes back in time after having been told those observations and makes changes retrospectively. But all of that happens at once because everything is predetermined. So if you're on blue team and you're just passively going forward in time, you will see red team interact with you on that mission, and you could also potentially be a part of that team, maybe. But I don't think you would be, though, because you would know what goes on. And so that's the reason at some point in the movie, and near the end, there's one army that just have to sit in a container, so they can't know what goes on in the film, basically. Um, in the film, in the fight, basically as well. So the protagonist and Robert Pattinson. The protagonist is basically the guy that's observing everything that's going on from the start of the movie all the way until the end, and then the protagonist, after the movie ends, in the future, I'm fairly sure. I think
They say it, yeah.
I think he's denied this. No, I think Christopher Nolan has denied this. I just forgot Christopher Nolan's name. I think Christopher Nolan has denied this, but it's the wife's child who grows up to become Robert Pattinson.
Neil.
I think he's denied that though. But it
Has
makes
he?
sense.
I didn't know that.
It really makes sense for that to be the case, but whatever. It doesn't matter. So basically, in the future, the protagonist explains all of the events that happen in the past to Robert Pattinson in the future and says, Robert Pattinson, you're going back in time because you now need to do all of the events that I've seen you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that's basically the whole movie is that pincer movement, essentially, of Robert Pattinson fulfilling his destiny back in time.
Sent him to his death as well.
It did indeed, but I mean, in order to save your entire reality is a small price to pay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that aspect, it's certainly like once you sort of solve that, it's like, oh, that was actually just solving that itself is like that was cool as fuck. I enjoyed that.
But the film pretty much says that, apart from it being the kid.
No, because also there's the smaller pincer movement inside of the movie pincer movement inside of the giant pincer movement that's happening back and forth across hundreds of years between the defense against the dark arts teacher of Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, who plays a Russian oligarch. It's Kenneth Branagh, which shook me to my core when I found out.
Did you not know the first time?
I had
you didn't recognize him.
How could I know that? How could I possibly know that?
Yeah, fair.
He's a brutal man in that movie. And also, do we really need to be doing... I get it. I get the Russian stereotype villain thing. But why are we doing Russian stereotypes still? Bit outdated from Nolan there. But
I suppose it's a bit outdated, but it ties into the themes. So this movie, right, I'm just going to give a little backstory as to... I watched it the first time in the cinema, couldn't hear the dialogue, couldn't follow the plot because of that.
Cold War.
Liked the vibes. Cold War's in there. But it's really about late stage capitalism. Our favourite film topic.
It just isn't.
Are you ready?
Nolan's a capitalist, fundamentally at heart. Who he is.
I guess he is. But is he not really?
Yes,
does he own
definitely.
What capital does he own?
No, it's not about that. It's movies. Like Batman Dark Knight Rises is a capitalist movie.
It's an anti-capitalist movie. Batman gives away all his money and fakes his death at the end.
That's pro-capitalist.
Not really. Not giving away your billions that you earned, didn't earn. I mean, that you inherited. Giving up your inheritance. It's an anti-capitalist movie. Anyway, although I guess there is a bit of questionability because Bane is the villain and he's the most anti-capitalist one. Or is he? Or is he just trying to turn the city on themselves?
It's never
I can't remember. I've not seen it in a while.
That's how we know That's how we know Nolan's not, because he's never clear about anything. He's never clear about his political beliefs because he doesn't think having political beliefs makes good movies.
Shall I find that quote?
Yeah, find that quote.
Just to read it out before I go into how deeply political this film is.
Tenet is not a deeply political movie. You are
It is,
going around the fucking bend. That is so crazy to say that.
Okay, I'm gonna. I will prove it to you. Do you remember there was a
Deeply,
moment where
a deeply
me?
political movie.
I think so. Anyway, okay.
Take
So
that back. You can
Christopher,
take. I
uh,
will give you one chance
it's
to
all
take that back.
politics to me. That was my understanding and enjoyment of the film. Anyway, Christopher Nolan
Mind
has this
your
quote where he
mental
says,
patience.
I've had conversations with friends of mine and they all ask why I don't make films about things I care about politically. And I always say, well, because it doesn't work. You can't use narrative to tell people what to think. It never works. People just react against it. You have to be purer about it. You have to be truer to the principles of narrative and telling a story. And that means risking misinterpretation. It doesn't mean you don't care about something or that it doesn't mean anything to you, but you have to be neutral or objective in your approach. You can't tell people what to think. You can only invite them to feel something.
You have to be objective in your approach to art.
Yeah, it's a stupid quote.
That's
But anyway,
awesome.
this film is really political. So let me just these. I'm just gonna read the notes that I have.
Oh God,
And
I
maybe
hate
I'll
you.
try form. You'll understand. There was
I
a
hate
time
you.
where me and you watched Lord of the Rings, and I was like, "Oh, it's about PTSD," and you were like, "No." J.R. Tolkien hates allegory, and I was like, "But it's about a little country boy who goes off to do the most fucked thing, and when he comes back home, it's never the same." Anyway, so the
Doesn't mean it's about
protagonist,
PTSD, but PTSD can be a part of it.
it's the character's
It's
journey is one
as
of
a result of the
becoming
end of
traumatized
his
by yeah,
death
yeah.
mission to the volcano. Crazy.
How going to the pub doesn't hit the same after you've done all that. Um,
Oh,
so the protagonist is an outsider and is sniffed out immediately for not belonging amongst this wealth. So he goes and meets the wife, and she's like, no, he meets Michael Caine, and he's like, "Your suit's shit. Get a new fucking suit, you cretin." And then
that's just jokes. I
and then
fundamentally.
he meets the wife, and he says, she says something like, I can't remember the quote, but she sniffs him out and is like, you've got all the watches, you've got all the suits, but you're out of your depth here. Something along those lines. The Oslo Vault Company comments on their desire to put their client's property above
Yeah.
even their own employee's life. And the whole film is about the future attacking the past for handing it an uninhabitable future. The antagonist is a billionaire oligarch who is acting completely selfishly in the present, and leading to the destruction of the future,
Okay.
which is causing
Okay.
the future. So it's about us now living.
So, in my response, my immediate response to that would be that it's just for the sake of the plot device. It's just to make things
I
make sense, to incite motivation, to
I
believe that
think
these
it's
characters aren't doing everything for nothing. That like without the antagonist being a billionaire and being a selfish billionaire, it kind of doesn't make any sense at all. But he, at the same time, is a fundamentally selfish and awful and evil person
it's his
to
whole
his core.
character. Yeah,
But just yeah, and he happens to be a billionaire. But the thing is, if this was like consistent across Nolan's other movies, Batman's a billionaire and he's Batman.
but Batman gives up his wealth, and the films challenge it. As we talked about it a bit in Batman Begins, you sort of poo pooed it and said like, "Oh, everyone knows stealing's okay," but it's about Bruce Wayne's journey of. Well, he uses his wealth for what he initially
A
considers to
billionaire
be
can be
good.
good is the story of Nolan's
Yeah,
Batman
and
trilogy,
and when
and
he's
also
most
Batman
good
Begins
is
to
when
an
he
extent.
gives away all of his billions.
Uh, I don't know if
Anyway,
most good is very
but do
qualifying
you not
there.
see that the plot being fundamentally about the excess
The
in which
plot
we
is
live in now?
the plot is fundamentally about the concept. I'm sorry, but it just is. It absolutely is. According to him, by the way, as well. But then he
I
doesn't really know what he's talking about when he's making those movies.
I think I get you to a certain degree that I think he comes up with a cool device of storytelling first, which is backwards forwards. What if backwards forwards?
He was asked what this movie is about, and he did not say late stage capitalism. He said it's about the direction of time. It's about the movement of entropy, in his
But
words.
filmmakers don't like talking about all the little secrets. I saw a little clip of him being asked by some fucking idiot late night guy in America. He was like, "So do you understand this? And he's like, well, I've got my understanding, but I'm not gonna. It's like asking me if the spinning top's still spinning, and then the guy goes, well, is the spinning top still spinning? But
That is funny.
yeah, he filmmakers like to keep their little secrets and have their understandings and not divulge all the things. Like there's obviously themes in there. The whole thing is about
sure.
it's about us living now in late stage capitalism.
And then we destroy the Earth because of global warming, and then the future of our species are like, okay, well, you
like
destroyed
we need
the
to
Earth
kill them all.
and so we need to kill all of them. And then we have an even more selfish billionaire who's like, oh, I mean, does Kenneth Branagh want, if his heart stops, to destroy his reality and allow the future to recoup the past?
No,
Or is he destroying everyone? Like
I think he's
killing
destroying
everything?
everyone. Yeah.
Okay, that's honestly, personally, I think those themes just allow the gravity of the concept to
But they are
exist
there.
naturally. They are there, but they are fundamentally about allowing the plot to exist in a natural way. These are natural things to hate the billionaire, natural things for global warming. We all get these things. Like when I heard the future people, they're concerned about their own world and they want to go back in time and erase ours because of global warming. It's just like, yeah, oh great. Who came up with this? Like an actual 4-year-old. Did a 4-year-old come up with this movie?
But
I mean,
it's
not this
relevant.
movie, but
It's wholly relevant. But he's
guess. If you haven't watched
been
like
doing
The
these
Terminator
concepts.
or The Matrix or a billion other movies, like,
But they're not
it's
about
just,
global warming
it's very
because that wasn't
facile.
of the time.
This movie's not about global warming either. It just uses
the
global
motivation
warming as a
ties
plot
into
device. It just uses it as a plot device.
Well, all things use everything as a plot device if you say they do.
But for instance,
But he
what's it
has these
called?
themes throughout his filmography. Like fucking Interstellar's about global warming too. That's the sort of kicking off point of like we've destroyed our planet. The Prestige is heavily about capitalism, which we talked about.
It says it's not about global warming. It's about space travel. It's about his relationship with his daughter. Those are the things. Global warming is again used just as a catalyst, as a plot device in order to push the film
And
off
thus
into
it's
a
about
direction. Thus, it's not about it. I disagree completely.
Not all films are like about one thing. So it's about love and it's about emotion and it's about acting on your emotion rather than your logic sometimes in terms of like, Anne Hathaway wants to go save her boyfriend and what's his name? Matthew McConaughey wants to save or see his daughter again. So it's about those things, but it is also about how we fucked our planet and maybe we should try and
Do you think Tenet is centrally about global warming?
I think it's centrally about I think it's about I wrote it down. Let me I think it's an optimistic message of yeah, we're fucking it. Yeah, this is bad. Yeah, our future might have the right to hate how we're living now, but we should actively try and make this world better. So I think that is the central theme is because it's all about what you said it earlier, predetermined paths, but they still constantly have to, while they know it's predetermined, they still have to go do it. So they know the outcome, but they have to do the thing anyway. So the outcome is they fucked it, but they have to go unfuck it in the now while they can. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I think. That really poorly worded, but that's what I think the film is about. It's not too late. We're fucking things and living in a way that we shouldn't, and we should stop doing that.
I could
before it's too
agree
late.
with you. Then sure, on a thematic level, that can exist. But when watching the movie, I just don't feel that in the slightest. He doesn't.
I really felt it, bro.
When? At what points in the movie did you?
Well, I was getting all the class stuff as it was happening at the beginning of the film, so I was like, okay,
The class stuff, the suit.
Yeah, him not belonging in the society of rich people and then being able to sniff him out
No, but then he
instantly.
immediately belongs and just gets on with
He
it because he's a
doesn't.
good agent. He does. It
No,
doesn't
because
matter.
they all
It
clock
just
him
doesn't matter to the
immediately.
movie at all. It's an action concept movie where you're supposed to get the concept, and once you understand the
But I don't
concept,
think we
that's
should
cool.
write it
That's
off that
interesting.
much because there clearly
I
is stuff
am
going
doing
on.
that.
I know you're doing it. I'm witnessing you do it. But
um,
I just don't think.
to be
I don't
honest,
think it's that
the
simple.
enjoyment. Okay, fine. It's
He
not as
was writing it
simple.
for 20 years.
20 years wasted. 20 years
I
easily to get
loved
back.
this. I fucking loved Tenet. Obviously, we
I
can't go
enjoyed
too
it
much
too.
into everything.
I actually really enjoyed it too. I have a couple of things that I want to say about this. There's one really nice touch that Nolan does where our protagonist is being tortured by the stereotypical Russian torturer, and he sat on the chair, and one train is going forwards and one train's going back, and it just looks really good, and it works really well with the movie.
Is that
Of
when he's
course it
getting
does.
his
Yeah,
tooth yanked
so
and the
whilst the
train blocks
protagonist
the
is having
view?
his canines removed by a monstrous Russian torturer, trains are moving nicely and it makes my eyes happy.
Yeah.
It is a really good scene, and the trains are moving at a perfect pace.
Hmm.
Like
I like that as well. That stood
it's
out to
they are
me.
moving at an immaculately perfect pace in that scene. I really like it. It's good.
I really love the
So
pace at which those trains move.
so so also the Tenet company need to test our protagonist to see if he'll die instead of selling out his teammates, which they wouldn't need to do because they have time travel, so they would already know, but they have to do it anyway because you have to do the thing in order to know the
Yeah.
outcome for the future, right? So, but Robert Pattinson, when he got back in time, oh shit, I've just confused myself. Oh my god, there's so many plot holes to this movie. You can't really think about it though,
They do
because
say don't think about
there is
it.
so much wrong with this film. Like, because when you go back in time and you're inverted, you age at the same rate at which time passes by. So if Robert Pattinson is that little boy would basically have to be trained from probably when he was like 15 to 25, and then that's then 10 years. And so then he would have to go back another 20 years if all those were events were uh, 30 years in the past or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Not really, but also you are going
Because
off a fan theory that he
no, no,
is
no,
the
no, no,
little
no, no,
boy.
no, no. This is exactly how. Yeah, yeah, but it can't be Robert Pattinson.
Can it
It
not?
can't.
Can it not just
As
be a
no,
guy?
no. I guess it could just be a much younger Robert Pattinson, sure, but he would have to be really
I
young.
think you're
Or
saying he's
not.
aging backwards, or are you saying you don't know?
No, no, no.
I
That's the
don't
way
think
that the
they would
time
be
travel.
aging
That
backwards.
the way the time travel works in this movie is you're not sent back. You have to go back in time. Everything
Yeah,
is
so you're aging
reversed.
like normal.
You're aging like normal, yeah. So if you want to go
Yeah,
back 10 years in the past, you have to be inverted for 10 years and like live in an inverted world for 10 years,
sure.
which Rob Patterson would have to go and do um, if he's to go back in time and know the
Yeah,
entire
that is
plot
a
of the
bit
film.
fucky, isn't it?
Yeah, but I guess it could still work. But I mean, that's not the main problem with this film. The main problem is when the wife has been shot and they're about to go through the turnstile, and then the guy's like, "Oh yeah, look through the window. If you don't see us coming around the other side, don't go in." And they look to the left and they see them coming out the other side. At which point, all of them could just stop. All of
What do you
them could
mean?
stop, and then none of them. Okay, so they. This is the scene when
I remember the scene. I remember the scene.
and there's an English army man, and
Yeah,
he's telling
Aaron
the
Taylor Johnson
protagonist.
from High
So
Wycombe.
yeah, really?
Yeah,
Oh, not sure how I feel about that. So they're looking through the screen, and on the other side of the screen, right at the back, so there's the turnstile and there's the screen, and so Aaron Taylor Johnson. As they're approaching the turnstile, is like, if you don't see us being moving through the other side of that, then we can't go in because we never go in.
Hmm.
Do you see? Right?
Yeah.
But then they do. But then before they go into the turnstile, they see themselves come out, which with freedom of
They
will
see
you can.
themselves go in backwards.
No, they see
Yeah.
themselves come out.
I'm
They're
pretty sure
about
they
to
see
invert
themselves go
themselves.
in.
It would, to be honest, whether or
Because
not they
because
go
to
in
them
or
it's coming out.
okay, sure.
Yeah,
But
it's
basically, it just doesn't matter whether or not they're coming in and out. The point being is they saw themselves go and do something just in that immediate moment. With freedom of will, you can choose not to do that, and that doesn't work.
yeah.
Period.
So that would fuck the whole thing. But that's the whole point, is that they can't not do the thing because they have to do the thing because it's their duty to do
No,
the thing.
but then that's a. But you can not do the thing. It's so otherworldly. It's interesting because you have to just accept the fact that
Yeah,
Nolan is saying that all of this always happens and you will definitely do this and you wouldn't see that if that didn't happen, definitely.
yeah.
But I couldn't help but fuck with that because you can, if I
But
saw
you would
my.
fail the test then that they put him through at the beginning,
Oh, for
innit?
sure. Yeah, I definitely failed that test.
Yeah. They
It's so
wouldn't. They
dumb.
wouldn't pick someone to know about this who would try and fuck with it on purpose just because to see what would happen.
So aside from the insane number of plot holes in this movie, if you just accept what's given to you and you accept the puzzle and the rules for the puzzle and just focus on solving it, it's good time figuring things out. That's where I derived the most enjoyment after having watched this movie for probably the third time. But I don't give a shit that the film is about like climate change. It never feeds that to me. All of it's just exposition and action scenes and things going in reverse. But I mean, I guess that is kind of good though. Everything going in reverse for regretting climate change. That's kind of good. But maybe I'm dressing things up. Maybe not. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're not. Who knows?
Well, I stand by that it's in there, and that's what I got from watching it, and that's what I enjoyed about watching it, and that's what I enjoyed thinking about. Beyond obviously the spectacle, which is fucking amazing. We should
Yeah,
save something for the actual podcast that we do about this with Ben. But
it looks
when
brilliant.
and then the fight scenes where one's forwards, one's backwards, it hurts my brain how they did that. How did they
Yeah.
do that? I don't fucking know.
It's epic when they have that giant fight scene near the end, and you see the building exploding in one way
And
and
then
then
build
exploding
itself,
and
and
builds
then
itself and
yeah,
reverts again.
I don't get that shit.
To be honest, I don't really either. And you can. That's the thing is the nice part about this is you can choose to go back and find out how that happened, and you'd be like, oh. Wow, that was cool. That's how that happened, and that's
It
how
would
the
hurt
entire
my
movie
brain
is
to
best.
try figure
That's
that out.
how it's best enjoyed. It's a little puzzle box.
Did you feel any emotion about any of the characters at any point?
No,
Oh,
not at all.
there's a really funny line that I wrote
Did
down.
you?
No. Like I sort of enjoyed. I remember hating the Russian and his wife subplot or plot. It's the main plot, I suppose. I remember not liking that, but this time I was like, cool, I like it, kind of. And I felt bad for her when she was being abused. Anyway, there's a really funny moment where they're explaining to her that the world's gonna end and how everyone's gonna die, and she goes, including my son. And it's just like, yeah, that's what everyone means.
Oh,
Uh,
I see,
that
Christopher
was
Nolan.
good.
So we're supposed to feel bad for her because she's the mother of her child and she cares. Oh,
Well,
wow, Chris.
at least the wife
Genius.
survived.
Another stroke of genius. All
I
right.
like Christopher Nolan now,
So
and he's got
let me go
more
through
going
some of
on
my
than I
notes.
initially
No,
thought.
I
So
like
let's
Christopher Nolan as
save
well.
some of it.
I
I think we
liked,
should try end the Tenet chat.
Yeah, fine. We can end the Tenet chat. I've got
Because
plenty of notes on here.
yeah,
I've
so
got
we
one
need to
funny
do it
thing,
with
though.
Ben.
Michael
Okay.
Caine does not need to be in this movie. He's just there for fun, and his name is Sir Michael in the movie, and that's fine and good.
That's awesome.
And also, I won the holding breath game in the airport when the halide gas goes into the room.
I didn't even try, but I really like
I
Robert Pattinson's
nailed that.
acting there. He looked funny as hell when they're struggling to get out. I love Robert Pattinson. He might be my
I think we
favorite
all
guy
do.
ever.
He is perfect. Also, though, his accent fluctuates between like a satire of English aristocracy and just like a normal English guy. It's very strange, and I don't like
Have you
it.
seen Have you seen the clip that was going around recently of his wife was on like one of, or his girlfriend, I don't know, was on one of them like shows where they try and make you prank call someone, and she calls him up and she's like, uh baby, I think we should host the new season of Love is Blind, and he's like, darling, are you joking? Something like that. He sounds so fucking funny.
They were saying we could do it together as well, which I thought actually could be quite good.
Darling, you've gone mad.
But don't you think it would be quite good for us? Like, it would be great for you.
Well, are you joking?
It's fine.
He's such a freak. Did you watch The Boy and the Heron?
No, not seeing that, but that's out on something, I think. Maybe it's just on Netflix.
He's such a... I love Robert Pattinson, man. He's so funny.
Yeah, I need to rewatch Good Time. I don't know why I haven't found The Good Time, but it's always there for me. When I first watched that, I was like, this is just one of the best films I've ever seen.
Every time I watch it, I'm like, this is one of the best films I've ever seen.
I think everyone sort of knows about Robert
Apparently that's what
Pattinson's-
got him this job.
Really? Good Time.
Apparently Nolan saw that.
To
and
be
was like,
honest, it's like... No, it's not Nolan-y in the slightest. That movie is just heart.
It's not.
It's heart and soul. What? Good Time?
It's just... Yeah, you be thinking about the same film. It's heart
Maybe
and
we're
soul.
not.
It's fucking degeneracy and stress.
Whatever, we'll move on. I might be thinking about a different movie.
Probably. He does a pedo moment in that film. So I don't think it's
Epic.
about...
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Anyway. Fuck, what was I going to say?
Yeah, what are we moving on
don't
to?
know.
So you want to save the Tenet chat, yeah? That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with ending around here. I mean, unless you have anything else to talk about.
Oh, I watched Casino recently.
Oh, please talk to me about Casino.
That was just so incredibly good. I don't know what it is with Scorsese, but there is just some method he has of really roping you into a world.
Yeah, fully.
I fully lived a life in Las Vegas, basically. Memory of, I mean, it's a 3-hour movie, to be fair, I think a bit longer. And yeah, I have a good few weeks worth of memories about that film. And that is just something that Nolan would never, ever, ever be able to provide you, really. Like a fully I'm about to say fully immersive experience. I suppose he does do that. But
it's never so much about
human.
character.
Nolan misses so much human connection, and when he tries to do it, it feels so forced and unnatural. Like when Matthew McConaughey's crying about his daughter, I feel
I like
nothing. I just don't. Yeah, but like the gravity at which it's supposed to be felt at, it just doesn't come close for me anyway. Maybe it does for you.
I watched that with my dad, who was crying next to me, his son.
Maybe
So
when I have a
guess
child,
that probably...
I'll feel. I guess I'll
Yeah,
empathize a bit
that
more.
possibly. But I do get what you mean. Like,
But isn't it though? Like
I think fundamentally
I've just
Scorsese-
picked out the most emotional moment in all of
any
Nolan's
Nolan movies.
filmography.
Yeah.
And even then, it's debatable, right?
Sure.
Or it's almost debatable.
Everything is
whatever.
though. I'd say it's all debatable, really. Like we can all. Something might not work
Maybe not
for you that
debatable,
works for me.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean. It's.
But you know what I mean.
But I think Scorsese is a fundamentally humanist filmmaker, and it's pretty much
he is,
the only thing that's interested him, as far as I'm aware, for his whole career. He's never done, that I'm aware of, because I haven't seen all of his movies, but he's never done like a big concept thing. It's always
Shutter Island is as far as it's getting.
Yeah, but that's a character study still about
Yeah, absolutely.
this man. Like it's twisty and turny, but it's not, and it is mindfucky.
I thought for the longest time that Shutter Island was a Nolan movie. For the longest time, I just assumed it was because it feels very Nolan-y. Even the score's very Nolan-y. And there's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
no, I get you. I watched it around that time.
Leonardo DiCaprio is not in a single Christopher Nolan movie,
Inception.
except for Inception. Cut that out.
Okay.
Cut that
But
out.
yeah,
Please
I
cut
mean,
that
Leo
out.
is Scorsese's guy, isn't
Yeah, definitely.
he? He is way more so. But I mean, back then, I sort of agree. I know what you mean because I watched that when I was 10 and around. Well, not 10. I wasn't 10. I was probably like 12, 13. And around then, I was like getting into Chrissy Nolan. I'd seen Inception and I'd seen The Prestige, and they're all very twisty and turny. So
Yeah, I remember the
I
first
get you to
time.
that degree.
The Prestige is like such an interesting film for me because the first time I watched it, I thought that was fantastic. I love the twist at the end. I got by it, and I never really saw past like the absolute surface of the enjoyment of it. Like how when we watched Cache, Ben was like, "I actually enjoyed the murder mystery. I thought that was the best part of the movie." Sorry, Ben. I'm so sorry, man. I love you, but fucking hell, 3 out of 10 Taxi Driver. It's just wrong. I don't care. Anyways, so yeah, so I watched Prestige, and then I loved that, and then I watched it a few years later, and I was like, this is garbage. That little
Really?
trick at the end was rubbish.
I
Yeah,
didn't
a
know
few
you
years
came
later.
around on it.
And then in the most recent podcast we did about the Prestige, I watched that movie, and then everything just fell into place. Maybe I read into it too much. Maybe I didn't. Maybe Nolan's a genius. But there is just, it's like rich with themes, and it's tied together magnificently well, using the backdrop of magic to tell a story about movie making and manipulating the audience, and how at the end of the day it's all a sham. And then we watched F is for Fake. It's like it's really good.
but F is for Fake was boring, man, and that's a 3 out of 10.
Oh my lord. Yeah.
It's
So
a struggle.
it's a struggle.
But to identify all the shit in Prestige and then turn around and say Tenet has nothing, like, come on, man, you've got to give him more credit. I think
I just feel irrational in pushing back on you in this capacity. I probably will come round in the future about it, most likely.
I'm sure
But
it's there to me. You can
feel-
say it's
alright.
not like that deep, which is a fair enough thing to
I
say. Like
think
you said,
what definitely hits is if in the future things get so terrible and we just want to change the past, and having an entire movie that's fundamentally about reversing time is pretty cool. And if you really consider that, but unfortunately, like in the movie, it just doesn't really connect you to that theme enough for me to enjoy it in that manner, because there's so much. It's such an action-packed thriller, action-packed action movie, action-packed concept movie. That's really, really all it is. It's not trying hard to be anything, but I get like he is good at light touches. I will say that, and it's quite possible that you're absolutely right, but it's a light touch and no more, right? They mention it once that the future want to destroy the past, and
but that's enough to like be and they talk about like the grandfather paradox, and to be at that point of the being in the future and being like, let's fucking just kill everyone. That says something. It says something quite powerful to me about what we should do in the now to prevent that. And genuinely, if you think about it, right, I would agree that if I was born 2 generations from now and the world is completely fucked and we're all living miserably, and
yeah, sorry.
It's just a powerful motivation for what's happening. To be like, let's actually fucking kill all of our ancestors for doing this to us.
I would say, and it might just me subconsciously playing devil's advocate here, but I would say, and I hope I can remember my point that I thought of 5 seconds ago, that the film doesn't explore the repercussions well enough for it to qualify itself about the concept of mass regret, basically, is what you're talking about. It doesn't qualify it because we don't experience any sort of mass suffering as those future people do. We're told it offhandedly, and it's a plot device to motivate characters to do things. So
I would
Nolan
agree.
can do his cool action backwards time travel.
I agree. I do agree that it probably comes from I think I said this earlier. I bet it did come from fucking let's do a forwards and backwards movie, and then but it's still baked in there. Like it doesn't matter which order. He wasn't like let's do a climate change movie and then came up with that. He probably came up with the concept and then the themes.
Yes,
but
exactly.
it's in there enough. It's in there enough for me, and it was just
Okay,
shocking to me
but
that it was even in there. Like
do you
because I just
sure it's in there, sure it's there, but it doesn't make you feel the gravity of that sort of devastation. For instance, like The Matrix is about the end of the world. The Matrix is about mass regret. The Matrix is about climate change, because you go to the world and you see Zion, and then you see the machine world, and then there's a scene where you fucking go above the clouds, and then you see the sun, and then you come back down to the destroyed world of what humans did in the Matrix. Like, that movie is about what you're talking about. Tenet is absolutely so far removed from the experiential mass regret, destroyed the world, climate change, fossil fuels are bad, Ben Shapiro's a dick world, that it's like not even remotely comparable. Not even remotely. I'm sorry, but it's true.
I'm fine. I'm just fine with it not being in there though, because it's philosophically motivating the plot.
The difference is it doesn't even, if it wasn't in there, it's the same film. It could just be a different motivation. It wouldn't matter.
But if that motivation worked as well as it did, then that would be fine.
It could have just been aliens.
But that's not. But that's not a theme. But there is a theme instead.
Yeah, exactly. There's the billionaire. There's classism.
The themes are in there, and I fully accept that it doesn't work enough
has
for you.
to do with it.
What?
The classism stuff, because there is classism stuff, but I thought that was all just like jokes. Maybe that's me being a horrible monster.
I think it's just the isolated mentality of
Primark soup. Oh, you're right. This whole thing.
I think it's about the mentality of the extremely wealthy of like. Fuck, I had it there for a second and then I've lost it.
I definitely did feel a little moment where he's like, if I can't have you, no one can. Like the billionaire mindset of everything's mine and I don't care because I have everything and it's all about me. Right? Mm-hmm. Fine. But it's like, again, it's not new. Right?
Let me just say this. This is my thought. This is from a podcast I listened to today. Shout out Darren Mooney. I always quote this guy. He said, like, it's about how... So this guy is a criminal, evil guy, but he's very, very rich. And it's about how the law, when you get to a certain level of wealth, the law doesn't apply, not even the laws of physics. Because he's, like, literally sent back his wealth from the future. And that's how he, like, gets his wealth. I don't know. It's cool. It was a cool
that's
sentence.
Kind of cool. Fuck.
Isn't it?
Oh, that's really annoying.
It's in there.
Yeah. Because, you do get to the point where you're so rich, you're basically just a fucking god. Comparatively, you might as well be. Yeah, fair, good, that's good. Yeah, I could I could be convinced. Oh, for God's sake.
I'll try come up with a better argument. Maybe I'll even rewatch it again by Monday.
Would I rewatch it?
Rewatch it with the classism and the... It's fun, man.
Rewatch it with classism in mind. It's
not so much classism. It's late stage capitalism. I would say to focus on.
I was just going to say the movie itself is a fun like roller coaster of things to happen. You know, I like that part of it. Yeah.
And they bungee jump up a building.
I've got that in my notes as well, but you said to save some of that. It's so
fun. We will save. We've gone back to Tenet.
I do have one like funny line about that. It's just like, for God's sake, where is it? Just a couple of cool guys doing spy shit. Okay.
Yeah. It's a cool spy movie.
Doing spy shit. I love that scene in India where they murder Priya's bodyguards, and then she's like, "Do you want a drink?" And they have her sit down and a drink. It's just cool. I like that.
Yeah. And there's themes about masculinity in there as well. Very subtle, but it's definitely.
Oh yeah.
It's not subtle in the scene, but
it's so terrible. It's to be a woman in a man's world. Oh, fuck off.
No, she says something like it's good to have a masculine facade.
have
I
a
can't remember.
masculine front in a
Face,
man's
yeah,
world.
something like that.
Yeah. Wow,
But
Chris.
that definitely ties into the themes of like capitalism, though, because it is a
Sure,
man's world.
sure,
And
mate. Yeah, and I genuinely a film school undergrad would come up with a better way to tie a concept together thematically for that movie. I believe it's
I don't know, it works very well for me, and it's made me rethink
because
how shallow I think Christopher Nolan is in my
when we watch
biases
an
against
actual
him.
God, how has this even happened? What are the capitalist movies that exist? The best ones, the biggest and best ones, and how this is like absolutely nothing compared to what a movie
Sure.
actually about capitalism can do. Nothing's coming to me right now because that's what happens. when
Killers
you
of the
come up
Flower
with an idea.
Moon, a lot of Scorsese movies, Parasite.
Yeah, pretty much almost all. Yeah, Parasite is a
Fucking
movie
Haneke.
about capitalism. Yeah, every movie that
Yeah.
we've seen and love, and all of those, it's just infinitely better. But yeah, infinitely better, funnier.
Sure, but
and
but
some
they
of them have
aren't
better.
action films, and I think it's good to have it in a action. Like it's just a different thing, really, to me. Like it can be in there. I'm not going to
Okay,
it
so
for
so
the
are you
deep
coming at this
analysis
from
of.
like sure, but I get. So are you trying to say then that it's sort of nicely unique that this incredibly high concept action movie is like underneath about late stage capitalism?
Yeah, and it's just challenging my notion that Nolan's a shallow filmmaker, and the more
Also,
I'm
you
watching
would
him, the
probably
less
like
shallow
some
I'm
Mission
finding him.
Impossible movies.
I'm looking at a
Yeah.
list of anti-capitalist movies. Fight Club. How did we not think that? The
Yeah,
Matrix,
you can't
obviously.
think when. Yeah.
Sorry to bother you. It's a fantastic movie. Yeah, I haven't seen any of these ones. Wow, I've seen none of the. I Am Greta Thunberg. I doubt that's about capitalism. Salo? Oh no, that's Solo. But I'm sure Salo is. No, it's not. I don't think.
Solo, a Star Wars adventure.
Solo,
Wars story.
120 days of Chewbacca.
120 Days of Martyrs.
Yeah, Martyrs. Is that
Martyrs
anti-capitalist?
capitalist.
Ah,
Yeah,
maybe not.
No,
Maybe.
no.
They are a rich
What
society.
the fuck
I
is
don't
Martyrs
know.
actually about, like themes wise? Let's not get into that.
How fucked it would be if there's something or nothing beyond our life, I guess. I like
And
that
you
movie.
have to suffer in unimaginable ways to get to Nirvana. I don't like that.
Yeah. I like that ending a lot.
I hate that movie. I
It
think
might
about
be
that
the worst
all the
one.
time. It
You need
is
to watch
the
Funny
worst.
Games.
I will. Is it as bad as Martyrs?
Not in the same way, but it's as miserable.
Oh God, it's got me like turning my head in case that society comes knocking on my door. I kind of want to.
Well, they prefer to do it to women, so.
Yeah, true. That does make me feel better.
But anyway, let's end the episode here. That's a little taster for our Tenet versus Prime discussion. If you're watching this and you watched to the end, which you haven't, but comment "fuck you, Ben," for missing this episode. Yeah.
This is the day we had a curry. No, the day after we had a curry. I had a curry with Ben yesterday. Do you want to see a picture of me and Ben?
You and Ben met up yesterday.
Yeah, he was down in Swindon for house viewing.
Is that the first time you met him?
No, I've met Ben at one occasion before.
Oh, I didn't know you'd met him. I thought it was just all on the web.
No, we're actually real friends. Unlike
Well,
you.
when am I going to
fake
get to meet
online.
either of you?
No, you don't get to meet me. I don't know you.
Hi, Ben. Shout out, Ben.
Bearded Ben.
I liked in Primer when they said, "I'm starving, man. I haven't eaten since later this afternoon." That was good. That was a great line.
That is funny. I like that.
It's a great
I
fucking
remember
line.
that. Mm.
All right.
Do you like the green yellow tint in the film? Does that add anything for you?
I think that's just shit camera and shit color
Oh, I
correction.
think it's just a bad camera.
Yeah. It was very overblown. They hadn't done the white balancing or the exposure very well. That's my professional opinion. I think, yeah, that was just budgetary. But maybe it was on purpose, like the Matrix, I guess. But in the Matrix, do you know, this will blow your mind. Maybe you know how the Matrix is a green tint.
Go on.
That's been added since like remasters and stuff. The original was pretty normal looking because they never
Oh.
back on film they didn't
the
do color
green tint
correction.
is so important though for
Yeah,
me.
it's weird, but yeah, that's a sort of a George
That's
Lucas
the
thing.
whole aesthetic.
George Lucas.
Fair. We'll do some. Oh, can't believe we haven't been able to shoehorn. The Matrix would have been very good for Tenet, really. If you like.
Mainstream.
Yeah, mainstream. All right.
All right. See you later, guys. Keep on rocking in the free world. Doot 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 doot.
Doot doot.